Ever get to the end of the day feeling completely wiped out, even though you barely moved from your desk? You're not lazy, and you are definitely not alone. Your brain is running a marathon you never even signed up for. So let's dive in and figure out exactly why you're so exhausted and what we can do about it.
Okay, let's start with a number, 150. Any guesses? Well, that's the average number of times we check our phones, every single day. That's about once every 6.5 minutes we're awake. Each one of those checks is just a tiny little interruption, a small hit of information. But oh man, do they add up.
And it's not just our phones, right? At work, the average office worker gets about 121 emails a day. Think about that. Each one is a potential task, a decision that needs to be made, or, just more noise to filter through. It puts us in this constant state of low-grade alert. So when you add it all up, the average person now processes around 34 gigabytes of data every single day. Now, to put that into perspective, that's like forcing your brain to consume and make sense of 16 full-length movies every single day. It's no wonder we're all feeling so burned out. And that feeling, that drained, frazzled feeling, it leads to the core question: why? Why does processing all of this leave our brains feeling so completely and utterly fried? Well, the answer isn't about willpower. It's about a fundamental mismatch between our ancient biology and our modern world. And here's something that's so important to understand. This feeling of being overwhelmed, it is not your fault. It's a design problem. Let's dig into the science of why your brain is struggling to keep up in a world it was honestly never built for. There's actually an official term for this, It's information overload. It's that tipping point where there's just way too much coming in, and your brain's ability to actually think, to decide, and to focus just starts to break down. This is a very real cognitive state with very measurable consequences. And this constant stream of information has literally rewired our brains. Back in the year 2000, the average human attention span was about 12 seconds. Today, it's plummeted to just 8 seconds. Now, for comparison, a goldfish can hold a thought for 9 seconds. Yeah, we have been out-focused by a goldfish. The problem is actually pretty simple when you think about it. We're running ancient hardware on an overwhelmingly modern operating system. Our brains evolved over thousands of years in a world where information was scarce, it was valuable, and it was slow. Now we're drowning in a world where it's infinite, chaotic, and just relentlessly demanding our attention. And that ancient hardware has some very real hard-coded limits. Your working memory, think of it like your brain's RAM. It can only juggle about 4 things at once. We tell ourselves we can multitask, but neuroscience is clear. It's a myth. We're just rapidly switch tasking, and every single switch costs us up to 40% of our productivity. And on top of that, every tiny decision, to click, to read, to ignore an email, drains this finite resource called willpower. That's decision fatigue. It's why after a long day of just managing your inbox, you have zero energy left to make an important choice for your family or your own health.
So, yeah, the problem is big and it's biological. But, and this is a big but, that doesn't mean we're powerless. Now that we get the why, let's start building our toolkit for the how we can actually fight back and reclaim our focus.
The very first step is a fundamental shift in your mindset. You have to completely abandon the idea of keeping up with everything. It is impossible. The new goal is to be ruthlessly selective and to intentionally consume only what truly matters to you and your goals.
So how do we put that new mindset into practice? We can break it down into 3 core strategies. It's pretty simple, really. First, we curate what's allowed to come in. Second, we fiercely protect our time to concentrate. And third, we stop snacking on information all day, and we start scheduling it like meals.
All right, first up, rule number 1 is to curate your inputs. This is all about becoming a strict gatekeeper for your attention. Think like a museum curator, not a digital hoarder. It means practicing what's called digital minimalism. You look at every app, every newsletter, every social feed, and you ask a hard question. Does this thing significantly support something I deeply value? If the answer isn't a clear heck yes, get rid of it. Be ruthless.
Okay, rule 2, fiercely protect your focus. Researcher Cal Newport talks about this all the time. The most valuable, creative, and meaningful work you do requires uninterrupted concentration. You have to schedule these blocks of deep work, ideally about 90 minutes, where the digital world is completely shut out. Phone off, notifications disabled, the whole 9 yards. This isn't just about avoiding distraction, it's about creating the quiet space where breakthroughs can actually happen.
And rule number 3 is all about scheduling your consumption. Checking email and social media constantly is like grazing on junk food all day long. You're never really hungry, and you're never satisfied. So instead, create an information diet. You batch your consumption. You check email and news at 2 or 3 specific times, and that's it. This one change can give you hours of focus time back and dramatically cut down on that background anxiety.
Now, I know this might all sound like a lot, but you don't have to change everything overnight. The journey back to a focused mind starts with a single, simple step. You can start building that momentum right now.
In fact, you can start with one of these 5-minute fixes. First, go into your settings and turn off all notifications that aren't from an actual human being trying to reach you. Second, just delete just one social media app that you know you mindlessly scroll through. And finally, move your phone charger out of the bedroom. This creates a really powerful boundary for better sleep and a much more focused start to your day.
What this all really boils down to is a choice between 2 paths. You can continue on path A, which is kind of the default path of distraction, exhaustion, and unrealized potential. Or you can intentionally choose path B, where you are the one who decides what deserves your focus. This single choice will absolutely determine the quality of your work and your life.
Ultimately, it comes down to this one simple, powerful idea. Whatever you pay attention to becomes your reality. So I'll leave you with this question to think about. Who's really directing it? Is it you, or is it an algorithm? Who's really in charge?